Greetings. Once again, we join heroes freshly emerged from a terrifying experience. Or was it? As opposed to the normal affair, considering that Strahd is structured not in a series of dungeons, but a series of trials. This will be the first review of sorts. A review of Death House. I shall first turn to our stalwart Sasha and ask, the good part first. Did you have a favorite part?
A favorite part? Well, call me biased, but I really enjoyed our solution to the house, partially because I thought of it. Run outside, light it on fire. Fuck it. I thought it was funny. I thought it's a good way to deal with an evil house. Just light it on fire. You know, I feel like the Evil Dead trilogy would have been a lot shorter if Ash just gasolined and just ignited the cabin.
Yeah, but everybody who went outside got killed, though, didn't they?
Everyone what?
Everyone who went outside got killed. Like, the person went out in the woods and the trees got him and stuff, remember?
Yeah, but I'm saying if as soon as they pulled up, they just...
Oh. Yeah, but then no one would have read from the book.
No.
Yeah, well...
All they had to do was
solving
not...
the problem. I'm just hearing more solutions.
I just don't think that would have destroyed the book.
Oh, it absolutely wouldn't have, but you know what? It would have made the movie shorter.
It would have been.
But yeah, I liked going outside. I like lighting it on fire. I know that's a little cheating of an answer because it's not something in the module. It's something we did.
Well, actually, they do tell you what you should do if they decide to burn the house.
Oh, really?
They don't go over it in depth, but they do say, hey, if they decide to burn the house and just not deal with it, here's what happens. And I'm like, oh, okay. It would be silly. And there's a very early session where somebody was like, what if we just burn the house down? And I thought in my head, that is technically an option. And I said out loud something to the effect of, well, that is technically an option.
Right, but those are for, like, if you decide to burn the house down instead of going inside?
Admittedly, no. I think they expect you to go in at least a little bit first.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't tell you to not do that.
I wonder if that that's why that guy was like that to us. Because, like, the village saw us burn down the house and just sit up there.
Anyway, but yeah, that's my answer. Burning down the house.
Which the book doesn't forbid you from doing, which I took it as a sign of, hey, all right, I won't forbid it. And then you did it, and now we're here. Tell me, Greila.
I love what we're doing this in character.
I would say the part... Well, it depends.
You don't have to.
I liked when the house tried to kill us after we were trying to escape from it. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was cool up until I got fucking cut down.
I don't care about that. I care about that to the extent that I play the cleric, so it's technically my responsibility to keep you alive. But I thought the house trying to kill us was cool.
Good pick. Very exciting.
That's scary.
What about crack?
So much good pick. I do like the miniature house that we found.
That was pretty neat. The dollhouse.
I don't know, when the house was actually trying to kill us, that, like Robert said, is my favorite part. Only because actually something was happening. It was dangerous, and it was...
Not to you, mister.
Yeah,
I rolled 20-something bullshit.
It was dangerous still.
Yeah, he got to flex on it. Isn't that the best part? When you just get to flex on something?
Flex on it, yes, but...
It was dangerous. It was so dangerous. If I failed the roll, I would have got cut down on.
You had the best chance of... Regardless.
Best chance doesn't mean there's not a chance of failure, right?
Favorite is as favorite does. And that is also a good pick. What about Siguror?
I think I'd actually like... Okay. I thought it was interesting that the shadows were incorporated into the room and that they were actually there. Like, would they have actually been just triggered anyway if we had left? Because I know they were just there already.
They would have been triggered by interacting with the statue?
If you take the orb, or if you fuck with the statue, they attack.
Huh.
So
Imagine that.
learning that it was holding a magic focus could have been somebody else's fault.
But it wasn't, because someone had to
But
run
it's
up and be
not.
like, woo!
But I too thought that was cool,
They-
as the GM, for different reasons.
Yeah, it also kind of allowed me to play a little bit more to the character, which I think anybody enjoys whenever
Mindlessly
it comes
destroying
up.
Oh,
the statue.
Because like, that matches exactly with this thing.
Yeah, except for symbolically defeating Strahd by tearing a statue down isn't the same as actually defeating Strahd. It's a pointless gesture until he's gone.
Also, not all of us have flaws that way. My flaw is being a dick to ghosts.
Character
I'm
is
not sure when that's gonna come up that much.
character is as character does.
What was your favorite part, David, by the way?
Oh well, I appreciate you asking.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, there are a lot of parts that I love about it, but I like shadows. I like number 5. I really like traps that hold the potential for a character moment, because most of the time traps are just, there's gold. Did you take it without asking whoever has the thieves' tools to look at it? Also known as nobody makes this mistake unless it's their first time. Then trap. But
Or a party with no thieves.
Well,
Also known as
no
playing
thieves.
playing life to the edge. You know, my first D&D party didn't have a thief. And they were called thieves back then. They were rogues.
I did not.
That was 2nd edition. Yeah.
So that would be my toss in for favorite part, because I think it's a well crafted piece of an overall cool whole.
I hate you both.
Well,
Just want it to be on the
if you
record.
think about the flame trap in Forge of Fury, though, that's kind of, there was nothing to gain by doing that.
that.
There was nothing to
I'm
gain
sorry.
by
I
opening
shouldn't
that
laugh.
door. It was purely there for people who are too curious or too greedy, and that in itself is like a reveal of character's character.
But you
It's a reveal of the Dungeons character. And,
Also that, yeah.
But there wasn't
I love
anything
that trap.
cool.
I love how it's just like, and you light on fire, and you stay on fire. And I was like, this is deadly as shit.
But
Holy
in that case, you
I
don't
love
gain
this.
anything, which is lame. In this case, you can gain something.
Well, to be fair, we did have the opportunity to gain something. You can salvage some alchemical supplies if you get in there and make the check. Unfortunately, Squid failed the check.
Which in hindsight, I probably should have used the inspiration that I had for that role.
Yeah, well,
Now, for what it's worth, I'm curious.
I forget to use inspiration.
You especially, if only
Yes.
because I'm starting with you. Talking about the part that you like the least is a little cliche, but I'm fine with it. So, is there a part that you like the least? Alternatively, a part that you would remove from Death House as a whole?
Hmm.
I guess they're one and the same if you remove what you hate.
So, okay. I know this is a little silly asking you a question before answering, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Nah.
Was the first spirit we found the one who was cut up and in the
Wardrobe.
wardrobe?
Yeah.
Was she just like a lady?
Like a maidservant.
Yeah, she was one of the maids.
Was she the person who was sacrificed?
She was murdered by the cult for a type of purpose. But
Okay.
there were some checks that you could have made but didn't roll quite high enough to tell how she got murdered, which you inspected, you tried, you just didn't get high enough.
Alright. Because I was going to say, if she was just a random dead lady, I'd probably remove that because it doesn't really add a lot. If she was a sacrifice to the cult, then obviously that leads to it later. I don't know. Probably the well full of blood, because other than just being generically spooky, it doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the house. Like, what's the point of it?
Yeah, there's no vampires on there.
I threw it in because I thought it would be generic.
Oh! I'm sorry!
I thought
now I feel like an asshole.
There are a couple times where I thought stuff was kind of boring, and so I did that.
Wait, so were the wolves legitimately supposed to move in the dolls and all that, or was that just you?
The wolves were also made.
I like that.
The house is supposed to screw with you and spur the
That's
moment.
cool.
I was like, it's kind of lame that these don't do anything officially.
What other changes did you make?
Very few. Like,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that those are the only two, barring any mistakes I made, which aren't changes, they're just mistakes that
well,
I intended to correct.
I
If
thought
that's
those were
the
good.
case,
added,
I just
so-
I just thought it slowed stuff down. Now I feel like an asshole though. You should have said what changes you made at the beginning. So I would never
Actually-
said it if I had known.
That just means you have a keen sense of what works and what doesn't. You could pick out the thing they didn't write from a mile away.
Yeah, well, fair enough, I guess. But no, I still feel like a jerk. So please, by all means, get to Rob next, so we can focus less on how I'm an
What about
asshole.
you?
Least favorite part? I thought there were a lot of empty rooms on the upper floors that slowed things down too. But, like, I like that the house fucks with you and that there's things, like, if you make a perception check high enough, you get to see, like, there's creepy details
Definitely
and
thought that was
the stuff. But there are a lot of rooms that are just, like, generically empty. And it makes
Yeah,
sense
like the
for
room
a
with the
house.
piano thing didn't really have anything.
That's true. That room didn't have a whole lot, but like, I feel like those could be sped over in some
Or the
way.
room with the just
Since-
that single bed that was next to the child's playroom. That I was in there, it had a stove and a bed, and that was it.
Maybe it was for a
Oh,
wet nurse or
Just-
something.
Servant room.
Probably.
Yeah, but
If we had stuck around long enough, we would have fought Margot.
we would have fought who? Margot.
Wet Nurse Margot?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, from
No, Blood.
Well, I think that works.
yeah, Bloodborne, but
What about you?
I meant Bloodborne with the Dark Souls.
Even though it's in, does it have to be removed? Would you say it would have to be removed? Because I would say this doesn't have to be removed.
Oh, my thing wasn't.
Alright.
Oh,
No.
I'll give you a choice of whether or not you want it to be removed.
I want to say they remove it, but I did not like that sacrificial chamber and those fucking things, or
The
Ghost.
ghost, I wouldn't let you leave.
say whatever
The
sacrifice.
chanting.
The end
Yeah.
part where they call for a sacrifice.
I did not like that.
What would happen if we had sacrificed something? Would we have just been able
Huh.
to leave
Are
without
you
fighting
sure?
the Shambling Mound?
Are you sure you want to know?
I kind of do, otherwise I wouldn't have asked the question.
Yeah, this is just tension padding for commercials we don't have. If you satisfied the requirement of a sacrifice, you would get to leave.
There's nothing stopping us, though, in the first place, besides...
I think what you're saying is the Shoveling Mound wouldn't have spawned.
Would the house have tried to kill us?
No.
Huh.
So I suppose, spoilers, though I'd hope you wouldn't watch a review for a module and expect people to dance around it, especially since you already watched it happen, so never mind. Spoils already happened. But yeah, if you satisfy their call for a sacrifice, you get to leave, and the house is appeased. If you deny them, the Shambling Mound attacks, and if you decide, no, we're not going to fight it, the house... I think the house might also attack you even if you fight the Shambling Mound, but I can't recall.
I have one more question. If we had gone down the fucking thing in the kitchen, the little elevator thing, where would
The
that have led
dumbwaiter?
us? Yeah, the dumbwaiter.
I would have to be looking at the book.
Oh, okay, don't worry.
Though there are places where it goes. You've waited long enough, tell me. What's your least favorite part? Would you kill it or not?
I would just say my least favorite part is probably the kitchen, only due to the fact of there was a lot of potential in there for shit to happen. Like the cutlery could have come to life and just thrown across the room, hit people, pots, pans,
Yeah,
whatever.
that is kind of
If we
true.
got attacked by a broom, I'm sorry, so we didn't get attacked by cutlery
Or ghost wielding
pots and
cutlery.
pans, or a ghost chef or something.
You know, I didn't even think of that, but you could really easily retrofit the animated sword anime and just like maybe lower the damage a little bit and be like animated knife, animated fork.
Because that
But
that's
your
one
idea
of
of
the
an
potential.
extra encounter.
Or like something, or we find the dumbwaiter. Whatever. Inspect the rest of the room. And then we hear the dumbwaiter being used.
Yeah,
Like
that too.
something.
Fair enough.
Also, good on you, Jeff, for not being like, when that dick Sasha lit me on fire.
It's a least favorite part.
That's not part of the module
That is,
itself.
as he said, that is.
Well, my
quite nice
favorite
of
part
him.
was just burning it on. That's not really part of the module either.
David said
Yeah,
it is.
I'd call it.
Yeah.
It's something that you did. But before I decide to make a section called least favorite player action of the camp of the fucking thing.
David, what was your least favorite part of the module?
Was going to say that I am inclined to soft agree with Robert. I'm fine with rooms existing for the fact that it's a structure that needs to make some kind of sense, and of course there's loot in those places, and that's important. But there's a section of a floor that I feel I kind of wanted to get through it because the interesting part was right around the corner. I think it could do with some less rooms, or maybe a passing over if you at home decide to run this. We're like, I'm gonna go ahead and just say you like clicked through those rooms and you didn't find much. That's what I would do if I did it again. If I were running the show, I would ask next, cool thing, favorite encounter.
Well, that's really hard. I think the best encounter is probably the two ghasts in the walls. That was creepy. They came out of nowhere. They're super deadly. And they're it's the miss and the misses. So the entire time, you were kind of wondering, oh, where are they? What's going on? Or in Graila's case, I'm gonna kill these fucks. And then it turns out, surprise, they're actually like zombies that are about to beat your ass.
Kids' corpses are here where the parents.
Right.
Yeah.
Strong choice.
Yeah, especially after a mimic. Usually, so basically, based off the design of the dungeon, by the time you're coming into that fight, I would say, for us it worked out this way, but I would say you're at the very least have fought the mimic before, possibly fought the shadows and the mimic before without a rest.
So you would
Considering you have to do
be
that whole thing at level 2, that is rough. That is beyond rough. We were better off because we were level 3, but we were still pretty wounded when we got there.
If I had been using milestones like the book recommends for Death House explicitly, you would have been, I believe, like 2 at most.
Yeah, which would have been rough. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to light crack on fire, but it would have been rough
the
nonetheless.
gas would have had a lot more chance of paralyzing someone emerging.
Yeah, that would have been a lot less damage being dealt out. Those fights would have
This is
been.
also fair.
I think
What
we
about-
should have-
What about you?
I am
Yeah, I
a
changed my
little...
answer to Bird. No.
Just so you know, he did that just to jab me in the ribs, basically. I like the gas a lot too, and I also really enjoyed the shadows. But flavor-wise, the kids trying to possess us was very. I guess it had like flavor, I guess, to it, which I enjoyed. So. Yes, you're welcome. So while I am inclined to say one of those two for fight wise, I liked the children ghost trying to keep us from leaving the room. Yeah.
Neat. What about you?
Can the werewolves be counted in this?
They're not in Death House.
Yeah, they're not.
Well, I mean, they're leading up.
They are in the beginning.
Is on the way to
well-
Death House. I'd prefer something in Death House, but I'm willing to take it if none of the
Never
others
mind.
stood out to you.
Then.
Though I was also a fan.
I don't know, I'm torn between the shadows or the shambling round. Only because the shambling round part was funny because we just decided to fucking, nope, we're out, fuck it. I'll take the shambling round actually because, you know what, fuck it.
It might have been different if we had actually fought the Shenlong Man instead of run like a bunch of cowards, but
Or if it made some of its
Well,
investigation rolls.
Some
But
fights you
alas,
shouldn't fight.
these things happen.
That thing
Yeah,
was making
fine.
investigation rolls.
Indirectly.
well,
Whatever
would've
roll you
had
make
to.
to tell if the illusion is fake. I didn't just let it work, even though conventional wisdom would say, he's excited about his plan, just let it work. I'm like, no, there should be a little bit of challenge. And it failed enough that I'm like, well,
It's also
It's not
They
like
do
it's
get
not-
int checks. It's part of the reason I used an illusion, because a shambling mound probably has a pretty hefty negative on figuring out it's an illusion.
it's
I
not,
would hope.
it's not very smart.
I also could have turned it
Yeah.
if his illusion had failed, then we could have booked it anyway because it would have been charmed for a minute.
Plant friend.
Now, at the time, I was under the impression it could see. I have not checked, But on the off chance that somebody at home read and was like, they don't see, it wouldn't have fallen for it at all.
Oh, whatever.
Because that stuff bugs me when nobody addresses it.
I mean, we would have.
I want to throw the shout out.
Rob's right though. We would have turned it and then ran it. It would have worked anyway.
Yeah.
Not to mention, it's not particularly. It's okay movement, but like some of you would have definitely outrun it.
I mean, yeah, the thing probably knew shortcuts in the house, but
So did we. We knew the fastest way out because of my mapping abilities.
It's not very smart. Tell me, you got a favorite encounter?
the broom.
Fuck you.
Nah. You know, I'm trying to go with something different than other people have said. I actually kind of liked the catacombs fight with the ghouls.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
cool. The thriller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because of the tight corridors.
Good
not,
choice.
Not everybody could
Yeah.
fight at
Yeah.
their best because of cover, half
Yeah, yeah.
cover.
Couldn't
Honestly,
you
though,
all fight at your best with just me taking the hits? You getting fucked.
Well, no,
Yeah.
some of the enemies would have half.
He couldn't melee anyone.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, but he has a crossbow.
Yeah, the crossbow was doing good damage.
And it's probably deliberately done that way so that you'll be in a different arrangement, or not everybody will be able to attack at
Yeah.
once.
And that one.
But it
was-
also helps us because if they could have surrounded us, 3 of them could have just piled on me and I would have been dead.
Well, who
That's
knows? Maybe they also were thinking of that side of the coin, like, and also they're low level, so maybe this will.
Which is, I kind of noticed that they did go down a little bit fast, so when I was a little surprised that there weren't a little bit more of them,
Yeah, but
But
we're
I-
a higher level we're supposed to be at that point, too.
Yeah.
I could also see that fight being very versatile based on the party that's coming across. If you have a bunch of casters, you guys could all just back up, fill the thing with grease, and then light it on fire, and just keep pushing them back into
Well,
the fire.
maybe, but that's like a. If you think about it, if you go with the standard array of like a party and you don't switch up how you're positioned because of restrictions on dark vision or something like that,
Mhm.
it would allow someone who's like the barbarian or the fighter to be in front and actually tank for his party, having a small corridor like that while the people.
Yeah, I mean,
Do the
people,
damage.
you know, role playing is about role playing, but at its core, D&D is a tactical war game kind of game about positioning and using people with high AC in front. And I just hear a lot of people on Twitter being like, "But role playing is the most important part," and that's fine if that's your game. But D&D, you know, when you level up, you don't get more social abilities. You get ass beating abilities.
Yeah.
Well, hey. My patron YouTube D&D saint says that, and I've always believed it in my heart, but not in those words, so I'm inclined to agree. I'm also inclined to say that while there are plenty of really cool encounters to pick from, I just really like the drama or the dramatic potential of 5 shadows rising up. Again, I like the number 5. I like shadows. It's cool. It's a moment that, in theory, can evoke at least an initial sense of fear or shock. And also, it's kind of cool that desecrating a statue to some dark god of the land in a metaphorical sense can have repercussions greater than you did it and you feel ominous. No, you did it and 5 shadows. I just really dig it.
Yeah, it's a nice trap there.
What I potentially dig less is
Boring.
this part, asking, do you have a least favorite encounter?
Oh, you bet your ass I do. Fuck shadows. And kind of you. I could have died so easily.
It's part of why I like it.
2 hits. All it would have taken.
Maybe 3.
Maybe 3 if I was lucky. And me and Greila too. Greila
Yeah.
also has
I
7
had 7
strength.
strength.
We
If
could have
they had
died
done strength,
so fast.
if they didn't have strength damage to me, and it only would have taken 2 of them actually, if they rolled max, then I would have just been dead. So yeah.
Died so easily. Now, we were incredibly lucky between turn undead and kind of the positioning. I was lucky enough to have been like, no, I'm in the back of the room. I very much stay away from the Strahd statue because I had bad juju vibe, and it was right. Imagine if I was next to the statue. Oh my god. So yeah, that was definitely my least favorite encounter, mostly out of mortal fear for my life.
They were there waiting.
Fair.
So, hey.
What about you?
My least favorite encounter in the house is the broom. To the surprise of everyone, I'm sure. Because I didn't feel that threatened. It was a moving broom, which I guess is kind of neat, but it was a single broom. It's not like a whole closet
Great,
came out and
terrible
attacked
evil.
us. So, and everyone kept making that stupid
Janitor
joke. So
supplies.
I didn't feel threatened enough. Like if it had been the kitchen, like the pots and pans and everything in between had come at us, that would have been different.
Or
But it's a single broom.
Or if there was more, as you cut down the broom, you lose your sight. Because now there's a bucket on you trying to suffocate you.
Why?
How does a bucket suffocate you?
That
It's a,
sounds
it's a magic bucket.
We could find a way, I'm
Could be a
sure.
cloak, magic cloak and stuff.
yeah,
Oh, the rags.
What about
Big
That would make
rags.
more sense.
That's kind of hard. I don't want to pick the obvious choice, but I don't know. I'm thinking about the children, but then that's also player-wise is also good. So
Being possessed sucks.
yeah,
Would they have just started attacking us in their bodies while they were possessed, or would they have just stayed in the room? I'm wondering. Because I don't know how possession completely works in D&D.
If I could take your answer real quick, and then I'll go ahead.
yeah. Let's just do the children, because I want to pick the obvious choice.
Okay.
Fuck.
I almost hate to peel back the curtain here because it's one of those instances where it's always worse in your head.
Hey, people can skip ahead.
While I can change it, in the book itself, it says, hey, if they try to leave, the children don't want to be abandoned, they try to possess you. If they successfully possess a player, that's it. You get to retain control of yourself, they just stay inside you. It's kind of a I don't want to be alone kind of thing.
What?
Oh.
So if you're, I gotta say, an irrational human being who goes, let's let him possess me, whatever, then you'll be proven right, but you shouldn't have made that assumption if you ask me. But they don't harm you or take control of you or anything if they possess you.
There's
That's weird as
Is there
hell.
any downside at all?
Probably. I'd have to check again. But
If you leave the place,
I just
you're
remember
still
they
possessed.
don't use it against whoever they possess, which you
Oh.
would think that's what would happen. But then again, they're kids.
I
Like,
feel slightly more like an asshole for repelling that kid. I mean, any rational person would have
Right.
been like, no, fuck this.
I don't blame
but-
you for
There might have
it.
been a downside, but like just not a serious
Yeah,
one.
I can see it coming up if you're like still possessed by the end of the house. You try to do stuff that the kid doesn't like, and the kid's constantly in the back of your head. Don't do it.
Maybe.
Don't do it.
Yeah, but wouldn't the kids have like supposedly passed on when we laid them to rest? Hopefully,
I think so.
we would have had a concrete answer to them finding their peace. But also, we wouldn't have had to beat them. We wouldn't have had to beat the children back to
Well,
death
I
again.
think I think the real answer here is we wouldn't have gotten experience if they were possessed. So
Well,
Thankfully.
I think it is true. What about you?
Exactly would have won.
they would have gotten experience
Got a
for beating us.
least favorite encounter? Maybe even a weakest encounter?
I would probably just have to say, and we said the werewolves is a no-go because it's not in the house.
I
Yeah,
prefer you pick
that's
a
a
death
random
house thing.
encounter.
Okay.
There'll be plenty of chances to deal with werewolves later.
If we could, I would have said the werewolves just because level 1, right out the gate. Come on, what the fuck? But besides that, shit, I'm actually kind of stuck for worse. Well,
I think it'd be
the
something that you
statue
like,
didn't
just not as
do-
much.
The statue didn't seem to do a whole lot.
That's kind of cool.
It didn't
We
seem
came
to-
across multiple
I
statues.
mean, the suit of armor.
Yeah, the suit of armor. Sorry. We came across multiple, like a few suits of armors, and only one of them came to life.
We would have been expecting all of them.
I don't know. I feel like at least 2 should have rattled up and started attacking us. I feel like.
You heard him. He wants it harder for some reason.
Well, I don't don't know.
I can understand because that's my knee-jerk reaction as well. Multiplying enemies. But on the flip side, I personally think that it's okay because at that point, you're level 1. This is an enemy that takes reduced damage from any non-magical weapon, which, depending on your party, could be everyone. And I don't mean this as a rebuttal to you, but at first I thought, kind of, but it was like, it served its purpose. It's really difficult finding the way to feel like it served its purpose, because you always feel like it needs to be better and strong. So I totally get that. I would be almost inclined, personally, if you had not dispatched the wicked broom and it had just been something nobody reacted to, that might have been my pick for least favorite because it's not super interesting. You made it interesting. So,
was evil.
I mean, to be fair, that did help it a
Full of
lot.
malice.
out of all the encounters, all of which I think are pretty cool or serve their purpose, I would personally go ahead and pick the kids, if only because I feel like there was more there, and I wish apart from possession they had done something more. I feel like they're woven into the house, and it is
Right.
like a cool story thing, but it could have been cooler, and I don't feel lacking in almost any other encounter in the place. Like, it's either you did your job, and I respect it, one of my players made you interesting, so you get a pass, or I love this thing, and I continue to love this module.
They could have basically become like poltergeist, started throwing shit around the room at us. Or,
Actually, more than the kids, I think what was a bigger missed opportunity was the lady in the chest. She could have interacted with us like the ghost did, and that could have led to like more spookiness. But instead, she was just kind of an encounter.
Instead
she
of
was
instead of just being an enemy. You know
Yeah,
what?
If she had been like the ghost, I think that would have been a better
Change my
use of
mind.
the character.
You're
Yeah,
absolutely right. I kind of forgot about that, which just goes to
Show
show
you how forgettable she is. Yeah, we fought a random ghost lady. Well, not random. She was a sacrifice. But I feel like if she had been kind of like the kids and could have possessed someone, that would have been more interesting.
or something along the lines of we were carrying the bones of the kids. She could have said something like "put them down" or something.
good
If she was
potential
supposed
for
to be a nurse.
foreshadowing in a number of ways. I will now just give one final open slot for any kind of ending remark or overall opinion that you didn't get to with the other questions that you would like to bring up, because
Okay,
it's
so
not my
overall,
reader.
it was okay. It was an interesting part of the module. If I was in it again, I'd want to skip it and just get to the next part because it's fine, and if you haven't done it before, it's interesting, but it takes too long. I mean, maybe we were slower than normal. In fact, we probably were, but 6 episodes, that's too long. I feel like it could
a
have,
house.
for the house,
I could have done before.
yeah, 4. No, I agree. 4 would have been better. It was really long. There's a lot of. I feel like there's some padding in there that doesn't necessarily need to be, or like stuff that's cool, but I don't know if it necessarily needs to be an encounter. Like I liked how the insects bursted out of the crypt, but like that was just a fight that wasted another 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know.
Something more to it, like a zombie or something, like a body.
No, I'm not
That's-
saying more. The
that's-
idea of insects being in the crypt is a fine one. It's just, I feel like there was a little bit of filler stuff, and
I get you.
I just felt like it was too long. I would definitely skip it again if I played. Well, if it was my choice, like if at session 0 the GM was like, "Hey, do you guys want to do Death House, or you just want to start at level 3 and be past Death House?" I'd probably say let's just start at level 3 and be past Death House. I feel that's more interesting.
I can very transparently respect that opinion and believe it. What about you?
Any kind of random remark about Death House, huh?
That you wanted to make that you didn't get to? Questions or an overall opinion?
I mean, I enjoyed it. I don't know if I would necessarily skip it. I mean, I might now that I've been through it once, but I think it's good for the first time, but I do think there are parts that could have been either utilized better or, like, skipped over. not skipped over, but like spread through. Maybe like all these rooms are generic, and you find nothing of particular note. That's about it, really.
Cool. How about you?
Well, at first, if you asked me like a week or two ago, I would have said I would have been fine with skipping it. But now that I think of it, I'd be down with doing it again. But it would have to have some aspects, some more aspects, and some less. So.
Definitely turn the kitchen into a counter. If I GM'd it, I would make the kitchen a straight up encounter.
Oh yeah.
Change it up.
It's a really good idea.
Yes.
I have to.
Yeah,
I got it.
the kitchen's a good idea.
But yeah.
And then maybe remove the broom just to keep them out of encounters balanced. Just
Yeah.
replace a kind of boring encounter, even though the broom's evil will be punished.
Has been.
Or if you're gonna have a broom, the whole closet should attack you, like all those things in there, like the mop and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
definitely just
I do agree it could have been shorter.
against a single
That's
enemy, kind of boring. Unless it's really interesting, like look in Tales from the Yawning Portal. Almost always you would fight groups of enemies, so everyone would have a chance to interact with it. There are a bunch of fights in here where it's 4 people against one thing. And in Tales from the Outer Portal, the only time they do something like that is the ogre, which was an interesting fight.
Yeah. No, I didn't.
Or not the ogre, the troll.
Yeah, you're right.
The troll and the
actually.
crypt. That was a multiple people in one fight, but it was interesting. You put the crypt off. There was all this. It was crazy. There's a zombie troll in here. Fucking everyone cut it down because prepared actions are ridiculous. But whatever.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, when you're right, you're right. What about you?
I think I'm gonna have to go with the general consensus. Yeah, it was. There's a lot of missed potential. It felt a little weak. If it's somebody's first run, definitely throw it in there.
Yeah,
Just that way, then they get a feel for how the campaign's gonna be. This is a very good showing of.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a tough run through.
Yeah, but if you've done it once, I don't think you would do it again.
I mean, I really feel like the house, because it says that the house is supposed to actively go out of its way to fuck with us.
Mhm.
I feel like it should have done that more. Like, say we go up to a door, you figure out, oh, it's locked. Hey, fucking go pick it. As soon as you start picking it, it hits you in the face.
so like Army or like Evil Dead 2.
Kind of like it's not an enemy, but it's something that just happens, and then when you look, there's just a wall. There's nothing on the other side of the door. It's just
The piano could have played itself or turned into a monster like in Super Mario 64.
Or we try to go.
God,
God, fuck that thing.
dude, piano mimic would have been sick.
I'm willing to take a little bit of responsibility for that because there's some room for like the GM to do it. Like the book doesn't explicitly spell it out, though it does say the house does want to fuck with you, and I suppose I could have leaned harder into that than I did.
Yeah,
I mean,
piano's
you could
playing
always
itself with
give-
some Resident
We
Evil
go
shit.
They could always have
Upstairs.
given suggested ways the house fucks with you, though.
Yeah, that would have been better too if they had listed out like, hey, these are some options for the house being screwy.
We try going out the front door when it's attacking us, and we're met with a wall, and then we have to make a roll to figure out, wait, this hallway is different, or something like that.
That's part of what I loved about you guys like leaving. I desperately was hoping that somebody would go to jump out the window when it first got brought up, because the windows are actually like bricked over. But nobody I desperately
That's why I
wanted
threw the
someone
fireball, because
inside.
I was like, I bet the window
Unfortunately.
isn't a window.
Whoa.
I'm gonna fireball it first, and then when rats appeared, I was like, yep, okay.
Well, we didn't know that we hit the window or not.
I
Well, we couldn't
desperately.
see anything.
Yeah,
without smoke.
Yes,
Well, I
and
can't
that's
see
why
anything
I
anyway.
wanted someone, because I thought that would be a great moment of desperation when rebuffed. I didn't expect anybody to try to like hit the house at all, but it does say, hey, if they try to hit the house, here's its health. Here's what happens when you hit the house.
The house has hell?
Well, like the health of areas,
Oh.
because they assume a lot of people are trying to break through walls or stuff like that.
I did suggest that it is a good.
Yeah, we could have tried to cut through the wall, but we would have had to fight a bunch
He's a
of
good
rats.
I mean,
Then again, we wouldn't have got scythed a bunch. So
this is also true. I've already nodded and said that I agree, but needless to say, I too think it could have been a little shorter. It's pretty cool. It's flavorful. I think it could be a little more flavorful.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to also say that's this part on me.
Well, it just goes to show, if you're gonna run it, play up the house being fucky.
Oh yeah. Hell, make it like that Monster House movie. That it wasn't that great, but
Monster House.
yeah, like if you actually saw it.
House of
I get it.
No, it was an animated
It's an
movie
animated movie called Monster House.
where there's like an old guy that lives there, and his wife dies and possesses the house and will not let him leave and eats children that come
Yeah.
onto their property. Type
Like it
thing.
has like a tongue thing that's like a red carpet that comes out
Yeah.
and people and shit and pulls them into the house, and the house has like
The entire
two-
house is super.
Have you ever seen
I've
House?
seen-
Because that's basically the same thing.
I've seen a couple of
Japanese.
clips online. I didn't actually see the movie, but I know what you're talking about. It'd be cool. It's a good suggestion, and that would be our review of Death House. Look forward to the future trials and what may come.
I'm Mario Vilas. You can find more of me at Lights Camera Initiative on Twitter. Yeah. Do not think any of the rest of these guys have social media. And obviously we didn't do a session, so I think that's it, David.
Same for myself, artist David Harper. You can find at Instagram and on Twitter. It happens. I forget shit all the time. Whoever you are. Everybody say goodbye.
Bye!
Bye.